Everybody, welcome to One More Round. Today, I've got a very special guest, someone I've recently met, but we're becoming fast friends. As I learn his story, I look up to a lot of what he's been through, and so this is J.D. Hill. He has an incredible background. Played at ASU on the undefeated team. He was in the NFL, and all that's great.
Yeah.
But more importantly, he runs a ministry today that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, but what you do every day and how you serve people, that really impresses me. So welcome today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. I was very appreciative of our conversation that we were having prior to the introduction,
Yeah.
and how getting to know someone is important and how you can easily be misled if not properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny because we were talking about like that phrase, right, that you can't, there's no, how did you say it? There's no first impression.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
And I was telling you, it's like, I don't necessarily agree with that as long as you get to know somebody. You know, sometimes you get to know them and they made a really good impression, but they're and they went down in your book. And sometimes they're like, ooh, yikes. And then, kind of go up. But, anytime you're getting to know somebody, you got to give them a chance to, get to know them and talk to them, a little bit of background. But, you've got a very unique background. Obviously, you were a great athlete. That was something that was just, I don't know if it was innate, and you probably worked hard, but obviously there was a talent there. But tell me a little bit about the athletic side, and then how you, what happened after football, and tell me a little bit about your story.
Oh, as a kid, I grew up loving Jackie Robinson,
Yeah.
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, who was the big Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, yeah.
I always seemed like I would be with kids and I would be with coaches, and I had this great talent that I was just a pure athlete. I was supposed to be playing the piano and going to piano practice, and I would throw my gloves out and balls out the window, and I was supposed to go into piano practice, and I'd go get my gloves and balls, and I'd go play baseball and come home and get a spanking.
Yeah.
You wasn't at practice. So sports was something that I grew up with, black and white TV, and it was not a lot of African Americans were prominent. But then when Jackie Robinson became and Willie Mays became, and you start seeing it, I kind of fell into that. Felt that was a road that I could travel. And our parents we didn't have TV, so we'd listen to the ball games on radio, and I could picture my mom and dad right now and sitting there on edge, listening to that baseball game. And so I caught that vision. I wanted to be that, one of those players. And I could remember even in telling stories, Jesse Owens, great track guy,
Yeah.
and he met me, and he said, I went to I said, come to my office. And he wanted to support my ministry. And at the time, I was still, helping kids. It wasn't a ministry at the time. I was giving free football camps and sports camps. And I get to his office, and I'm looking at this big old picture up there, and I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, that's me. so I had this picture of me with Jesse Owens as a kid. And then Jackie Robinson. I remember growing up, I always had these great people in my life that was kind of basically encouraging. And Jackie Robinson and Yogi Berra, my quarterback at the ASU, Joe Spagnuolo. I got pictures of me and Jackie Robinson and Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
Look at those.
Right.
Who got pictures?
Hall of Fame of Hall of Fame. There.
Yeah, man. Who got them kind of pictures? And so I was always this little kid that loved sports, and my parents promoted it, and that's how I pretty much got to where I am, because of they saw the vision, they caught the vision as well.
Yeah. And I mean, you're a multiple sport guy, right?
Yeah. Because at ASU, I played both. Well, my ASU story is not that great, but it's a great story, you know.
Yeah.
So Reggie Jackson, you know, Reggie, everybody know the great home run hitter, the great Reggie, played at Arizona State, you know, and he also was a football player as well, but then he decided to give up football and hang out with baseball. So I'm out for a baseball team, and Coach Bobby Winkle is there, and so Reggie's out at him and Sal Bando, they out there talking, yak, and so we're challenged to a home run derby contest, you know, and I mean not home run derby contest, but who could hit the most home runs, and I was a switch hitter, and so I batted left-handed. Reggie was left-handed, you know, and had a great day, you know. I just wanted to beat him.
Yeah.
And so that's just stories that, you know, I look back over my life and I see how I was influenced in athletics. You know, I wasn't that academic guru, but my parents raised me in the church, sang in the choir, and I loved sports, and I was a good kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in football at ASU, you were on the undefeated team, right?
Undefeated, yeah, undefeated team. And I was undefeated in track. I was a three-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Only three-sport athlete in the history of ASU. I mean, it's documented, you know. Baseball, football, and track. But the story about the baseball is that Coach Winkle's like, God, I had no idea. I tell these stories because they're true. I was a starting center fielder, and Coach Winkles wanted me to cut my hair. You know, in the 60s, you know, we were just coming up with I'm Black and I'm Proud, and the natural, you know, and the sideburns, and so Coach Winkles wasn't having that. You know, you cut your hair, you cut your sideburns, you know, and stuff.
George Steinbrenner.
Yeah. And so he benched me. I'm like, what? You benched me? And so he benched me first game of a double hitter. So I run in and go in the locker room and I cut my inside beard and my mustache, and I come back. I start the second game, and the hardest ball to catch coming from a hitter is when that line drive coming right over the pitcher's head, and then it's coming straight at your center field, and oh man, here it comes. And we had a man on second, first and second, and if that would have been a hit, we'd have lost the game, you know. And I caught that ball, pow, you know. And I go in and I said, I'm out of here, Coach Winkles. I'm out of here. He said, no, I'll kick you off the team. I said, no, I'm out of here. He said, no, I'll kick you off the team. Well, I tell kids, the decision you make today go with you tomorrow. They won the national championship that year.
Oh, no.
And so I was just with Paul Ray Powell, you know, great athlete, man. And we laugh about that.
Yeah.
So, and then I ran track at ASU as well, 100 meters and conference championship. So, another story. So, we get ready to go to the Pan Am Games, you know, and there's Tommy Smith and John Carlos and Ronnie Reagan, you know, all these great athletes at the time, the gold medalists, you know. And so we're in Cal Berkeley, and I said, oh man, I'm out of here, you know. He said, what are you talking about, JD? So Tommy Smith calls John Carlos, hey man, what's JD talking about? He's going to walk away, you know. I said, oh man, I'm out of here. I'm not on no track, you know. I was the second leg on that relay team. I could have been the second leg on that relay team that won the gold medal, but I made a decision to walk away.
Wow. So national championship,
Yeah.
gold medal.
Yeah. So I tell these young people that the decision you make today, it goes with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and had a great athletic career. You know, Coach Cush. You know, I ended up making a bad decision, and my junior year, sophomore year, going into my junior year, and you know, I ended up getting in trouble. I kicked off the football team, and I couldn't run track. I couldn't play, but I kept going to school. And Coach Cush called me into his office. And, am I doing okay?
Yeah, yeah. This is great.
Oh, okay. And so Coach Cush called me into his office, and he said, "Jimmy, sit down." So I sit down, and he says, "You want to get back on the team?" I said, "Yeah, Coach, I do." So I don't know. I got all these letters here, and people at the university has suspended you, and you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so couldn't practice. I couldn't do anything. He says, "Let me read something to you." He says, "Sit down." So I sit down across from him. Desk. He reached down in the bottom drawer. Read these letters, stack of letters. If you let him back in school, if you let this, and all kind of words and all kind of phrases, you let him back in school, you're a disgrace to this university. Don't you let that yada, yada, yada back in school and stuff, you know. And then he sat back and he put all those letters back in the drawer, got out. So, and then he reached in his drawer, pulled out this one letter. Coach Cush, in the name of Jesus, if you give my son another chance, I know God will be glorified. That was from my mother.
Wow. Wow.
He said, because of this letter right here, I'm gonna go to bat for you. I'm gonna give you, and man, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I scored a touchdown every game. I was at practice. I ended up being the captain.
Wow. That's so amazing. You know, it hits on a point. I heard Patrick Bet-David say something. He's in like my industry, real big business guy. If you don't know who he is, but he always said everybody needs two people in their life. One is someone that believes in you undeniably, which obviously is your mother. Yeah. And then the other person is someone who doesn't believe in you that you want to prove wrong. Yeah. And you know, having your mom go to bat for you like that, man, how cool. And you know, glory to God.
And then to have Coach Cush. Yeah. Knowing that I was a pretty good athlete as well.
Of course, yeah, right. Yeah, you don't go to bat for the guy on the bench, or you know, just making the roster.
So Steve Holden, who was a two-time MVP at Arizona State, he was playing in my position and in my position. You know, so the guys was telling me, "Man, JD gonna come back. You know, you in his position." Steve was saying, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Well, and I can't when Coach Cush let me back. Sure enough, I get my spot back. Steve goes back, and then he ended up becoming two-time MVP. Just a fantastic guy, first-round draft choice of the Cleveland Browns. He would follow me. You know, and he became my roommate. You know, when Coach Cush let me come back, and God, he was just a great. He put so much pressure on me because he was that good, and he ended up. When I left, I was MVP my senior year, and when I left, he was 2 times back-to-back MVP and #1 draft choice to the Cleveland Browns. He followed in my things that I would do. He would follow me, and I love to say the next statement is that he has also followed me to the church that we're grounded in today.
Wow, that's amazing. So you were, you know, ASU. Obviously, that went well. You get drafted, right, in the NFL. Like, is this, obviously you were talking about this is kind of a dream for you, but you're playing baseball. And I guess you left the baseball team, but like, when did you know that you could go to the NFL?
I always knew.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, you know, I was just, in fact, I may have taken it for granted, you know, and I grew up with coaches, Coach Ben Parks, Coach Charles Washington. They were, and Coach Chuck Chandler. Coach Chuck Chandler is living here in Chandler, Arizona, even now. Was my first high school coach. Picture that, first high school coach. And so I always had the talent to play. And I constantly remember the people that have had impacts in my life. Like I just said, Coach Chandler. I wanted to be a quarterback. Well, in 1960, 64, there were no black quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And so, and I really wanted to play quarterback. I had the ability. But he said, listen, let's prime you. Let's get you ready for college. You know, you play quarterback, yeah, but let's look at your future. Let's look, because he was looking at what it was,
right,
and trying to help me understand
the
narrative.
Yeah, right.
And we adhered to it, and it was one of the best things that I could have done. And then Coach Larry Quintero. Coach Larry Quintero is here. He's 101 years old. Coach Larry Quintero was the junior college coach in my hometown in Stockton, California. So there's two coaches that are here that are still in my life, that are still alive, still talking to them, still proud of me and what have you. And Coach Quintero being 101. Coach Quintero was the head coach at the local junior college, and came to my house. He says, Grandma, he said, we know Jimmy's a great athlete, and they call me Jimmy, Jim, and I originally was Jim and Jimmy and what have you, but there's a guy named Jim Hill that played with the San Diego Chargers, and I didn't want to be a Jim Hill, so I changed my name to my father's name, J.D. That's how I became.
Okay.
I took my name. So anyway, Coach Quintero comes to the house, and he says, Grandma, he says, you know, Jimmy's a good athlete, and I know he plays baseball, and boy, I tell you, we'd love to have him out here at San Joaquin Delta Junior College, and he could play football and run track, and wow, he's just a great athlete. And so Grandma would say, my mother, I call her, she's my grandma, but I called her mother because I was an adopted kid at 3 days old. My mother left me with my grandparents. And she says, well, okay, Coach Quintero, we'll make sure that Jim is ready. It'd be good to see him play. He's going to your college, your school. Coach Quintero said, yeah, Grandma, and we're going to take care of him, and we'll get him ready for a 4-year university for the next step. Now, I'm this baseball player, just got drafted out of high school to the Astros for baseball. I was a baseball player.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I'm going to go to the local junior college. 3 days later, Coach Cush comes to the house. Hello, hi, Grandma. We interested in getting Jim. Jimmy, he called me Jimmy. Get him come to Arizona State University. Great opportunity for him there. He can even play baseball, run track if he wants to. You know, we want him on the football team. Grandma said, "Yeah, well, that's good, but Coach Quintero just came over for it a couple of days ago and said he's going to go to San Joaquin Delta Junior College, and we think that's what the best thing for him." Coach Quintero said he'll get him ready for a 4-year university. Coach Cush said all the things that he was going to say, and he left. Exactly 3 days, 3 or 4 days later, Coach Quintero comes and knocks on the door. Grandma, we're going to Arizona State.
Yeah.
Coach Cush hired Coach.
Oh, brilliant. Wow, that's awesome.
We're We're going to Arizona State. Grandma said, but I thought we going there. I'll take care of him. I'll make sure he's okay.
What a power move by Coach Cush.
Yeah.
So you got drafted in the NFL after all this. Like, what was it like getting drafted? I mean, because obviously today we watch the draft on TV. Yeah. It's a big 3-day deal, right?
Yeah, it ain't like it was when we came on.
How do you get the call? Like, what's the call like?
Oh man, you want that story? Mm-hmm. Let me give you that. Let me give you a story that's on the website that goes all over the place still today. So I'm playing in All-Star games, and I'm the most valuable player of the Senior Bowl, and we play in the All-Star game where the number one draft choices play against the presiding Super Bowl championship team in Chicago. I'm the captain of the team, me and Phil Feliciano. And that's why we go to this banquet in Atlanta called the 100% Wrong Men. Yeah. And Clarence Scott, defensive back, Hall of Famer, on the Ring of Honor in Cleveland. He and I became good friends, playing in all the All-Star games and stuff. And so we're at this banquet. So he gets up and he's speaking. And yada, 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 yada. And I've been drafted in the first round by the Cleveland Browns. I said, what? So I'm waiting for him to sit down. He finishes his speech and he comes over, because I'm going to speak next. He comes over and said, I said, man, what you talking about? You drafted to the Cleveland Browns. He said, yeah, man. Yeah, 3 days ago. I'm like, what? I call home, Mom. She said, baby, where you at? The Buffalo Bills is looking for you. You've been drafted 4th overall in the first round, and everybody looking for you, trying to let you know you've been drafted.
Wow, yeah, you were like, wait, you've been drafted? I haven't been, yeah. Oh, man. That's wild, man. So you were a Bill, and you get the training camp, you go through it. How much harder, and because I've always wondered this, like how much harder is the NFL than college ball?
It all depends on how you take it. You got guys that they live it, they read it, they actually. It's a job. I never saw it as a job. If I would have seen it as a job, and my mindset would have been there, maybe I would have done even some things different. I was just a great athlete. Yeah. Okay. Well, other guys, they take it, and I mean, it's from A to Z. I mean, they in it, they make it. I never had it. My mindset wasn't there. Getting drafted to the Buffalo Bills may have been one of the worst things that happened to me, because they had a guy there named O.J. Simpson, and his career wasn't living up to what they were paying him. He was the highest paid athlete in the history of the game at the time, coming out of USC, great running back. And then here comes this guy named J.D. Hill. He was Simpson. I was J.D. Hill. On the back of my jersey, J.D. Hill. So I was getting a lot of press and a lot of attention. O.J.'s career wasn't where it was scheduled to be. And so they changed coaches. Brought in a coach by the name of Lou Saban. He had Cookie Gilchrist and Larry Little and all these great running backs. He was known for being great running backs. So here I am, my first year with Buffalo. I tear my knee up. We're playing in Atlanta. James Harris, Shaq Harris is the quarterback, black quarterback, first black quarterback. He and Marlon Briscoe. And I'm playing in Atlanta, and James Harris throws me 2 touchdown passes, you know. And God, I'm living up to the guy that came out of Arizona State, you know, and catching touchdowns. And after the game, the coach and general manager, and I see all these people coming at me. They says, JD, we got some bad news for you. Says, your mother just died. And I'm like, wow. Now, this is the mother that I had only seen twice in my life, twice. But I was wanting to give her some of what I have, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am or even had the opportunity. And so I said, okay, well, you go, we'll get you a ticket to go fly. So I didn't fly back with the team. And I think I'm on track.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to Texas where she was living, and sure enough, she had passed, and I did the funeral service. I was gone for a week, and we played. The next game I had to be back for the game, was against the Detroit Lions. So I'm tired. I've driven from one state to another state to catch the plane. Didn't get no sleep, and all these days, and meeting my sisters and brothers who I had never seen and had seen once or twice. And I get back to, I fly back to Detroit. I get back in the middle of the night, and the game is the next day. I suit up. I shouldn't even play the game. Sure enough, it's a kickoff, and I asked another guy, I said, Alvin Wyatt, I said, man, go run the kickoff, man. I can't, I'm tired, I can't go. He said, no, man, you're supposed to run it. You're supposed to be on the kickoff. And so I'm late, I'm running out on the field. Sure enough, they kick the ball to me, and sure enough, I get my knee tore up. You know, God, man, so I'm at a funeral service. My mother didn't pass. I'm seeing brothers and sisters I've never seen before. My emotions is all over the place, and I get my knee tore up and my back busted. All the transfer process busted off my back. Man, so I remember OJ and the guys coming by, and man, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be all right, you know. And I didn't realize my knee was bad, as it was. I was dealing primarily with my back. And we go in, and the doctor is coming to see me and checking on my back and trying to figure out what they're gonna do and whether this was gonna be surgery, what was happening. And on his way out, he hits my knee and say, you'll be all right.
Jump out of the, well, try to jump out of the chair. Can't quite do it.
I'm like, my knee. I said, wow. Because I was concerned about the back.
Right, yeah.
So then I ended up getting the knee surgery, and I missed all of the first year except for 2-3 games. And the games that we won was the games I came back off the injury. I should have never played.
Yeah. 3
games, you hadn't won a game. What am I playing for?
Right.
But, you know, being young, dumb, and not, you know, not having good counsel, I ended up playing and tore the knee up. Tore it up, all up. And I had to set out the last couple of games, and I worked hard in the off season. Then the second year, I come back, and then I'm an All-Pro. Wow, they're throwing the ball to me. OJ ain't, you know, he's doing what he's doing, but I'm doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm J.D. Hill, you know, and he's Simpson. And so I go to the Pro Bowl and come back the next year, and Lou Saban, he had all these great running backs, you know, and he was there to resurrect OJ's career. And for years, I never realized, what happened to me? And they took the JD off my name and made me just Hill. And it wasn't the same, and I was blocking all the time, and it just didn't have the love for the game no more, Kind of started wandering and attitude. I wouldn't sign autographs, which didn't make much sense, but I didn't. And then they ended up trading me. I go into the coach's den, and I'm like, what's going on? I look on the trade board and I'm like, trade? JD, you trying to trade me? Oh, no, that's just, we do that for him. And no. Sure enough, I was traded to the Detroit Lions for their #1 draft choice, to the Detroit Lions. Get to Detroit, I'm J.D. Hill. But I'm number 86. Yeah, 86 me. Nobody wears number 86. So I'm J.D. Hill, number 86. We're playing against the Chicago Bears. Wow. Calls a play. Slant. I'm on the left side. Doug Plank, Doug and Finsick, the two toughest defensive backs. They were known to hit you. And sure enough, they called a slant. Reeve Rivers, the head coach was with Washington, as the middle linebacker. I catch the slant. He's on my back. Doug Plank hits that leg, that same knee. Took it out. Boom. I was in and out. I missed the whole season. I was disgruntled. I just never could regain.
That was it.
Never regain. Wow. The salvation of that story, as it relates to football, as bringing that to an end, is I was here at a banquet with Larry Kerchak called Athletes International Ministry, AIM, and they recognize great athletes each year and have a banquet, and some of the greatest athletes, that played the game. Even Hulk Hogan has been there. We've lost him,
yep.
And Reggie White, God, man, just I could just name great athletes. So I'm at the banquet, and 20 years has gone by, and I get a tap on the back, and I turn around, and he says, JD, you might not recognize me, but I'm Doug Plank. I want to apologize for the hit that ended your career.
Wow.
Wow. Healing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about healing.
Yeah.
That's healing, man. And we've been friends, we've been buds and called each other and stuff ever since.
Wow.
What's the chances of that?
Right. I mean, very small.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, not only for you to meet, but for him to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. So I know there were some darker times that came.
Yeah.
Which is really today why you do what you do. Tell me a little bit about that, and then let's get into talk about what your ministry is and some folks you've helped and how you help and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Before I go, I want to thank you for the opportunity that you're giving me to share with people that may not know what happened to J.D. Hill, or who is he, or what's going on with him.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And so I want to thank you for the opportunity that you're giving me to be transparent.
Yeah. Hey, you're welcome. That's what it's all about.
Because I don't tell stories. I share testimonies.
Right.
Because if I tell a story, I'm going to leave something out.
Yeah.
But if I share my testimony, God's grace is sufficient.
Absolutely.
So what were we? So what am I doing these days?
So your football career was over, and I know, and I don't know the whole story. So you had gotten yourself into kind of some trouble, but that's kind of what birthed the ministry you're in. So tell us about going down that path, how you got into the ministry you're in, and then what you do.
Yeah. I ended up embarrassing my wife, the family, walking the streets, 3 feet of snow on crack cocaine in Buffalo, New York. The very place that drafted me as the #1 draft choice. And people would drive down the streets and I'd be walking in snow, going to look for drugs or high. I said, wow, man, he used to be J.D. Hill. Well, who am I? And I was an embarrassment to the family, to my kids. It was a very difficult time in my life. And I had to, if it wasn't for my wife, I struggled for years. I remember coming home. We were living in California at the time one year, and came home and opened the door, and there was nothing in the house but a TV, little 9-inch TV in the middle of the floor. She had taken the kids and gone back to Buffalo. We were living in California at the time. And for her love for me and believing that God would turn my life around, she got me a ticket. I went back to Buffalo, New York, and just walked the streets. I was a disgrace to my family, to my friends. I didn't have no friends. I was just living. I wasn't even living. I was dying. The enemy was tearing me up, and we ended up moving back to moving here, to Arizona, and Larry Karachek was given to the AIMS conferences, Athletes International Ministry conferences and Bible studies, and I started going to those, trying to get my life back together, because I was raised in the church. I knew of God. I knew about God. But was I willing to give up this journey to death and seek life? And I kept going. And my wife made a call. She called Larry one day and says, "You gotta help him. Gotta help him." And there was a guy named John Libby. And he's still here today. We're still friends today. I passed him a note, and said, "Can you give me a ride?" and said, "A ride? Where you live?" And I was living out in Paradise Valley at the time, around the corner from Emmett Smith. And he gave me a ride home and started talking to me about the Lord and whatever, not knowing how the impact that he was going to have in my life. And my wife was calling Larry Karachek. And because this guy had given me a ride, he had a place in my life now. 3 days later, I'm in the drug house. And my wife had made some phone calls to a young man by the name of Al Battle, who was one of my great friends, Eddie Levins. David Crenshaw. So she made this phone call and told Al, she said, "You got to go get him. You got to get him. He's going to die out there. He's going to die." And Larry Karachek was on the telephone making phone calls to the Dream Center. When Alvin Battle came and I was in the drug house, I was 167 pounds. I had one shoe on, one shoe off, half a sack of potato chips or whatever it was. And he came into the drug house, and it's like everybody knew that we were close friends, and they say, "There he is, he's over there, he don't belong here. That's J.D. J.D. don't belong here. Gotta get him out of here." And so Al called and said, "Hey, J.D. So he called me and I came out, went out, and two guys, Eddie Levins and David Crenshaw, were praying in the front yard of the drug house. And they came and I got in the car, and they drove me home, drove me to my wife. And she's on the phone talking to Larry. And Larry, the guy named John Libby, who I just met, Larry called him and said, hey, I got a guy that won't fly. He can't fly. He can't catch a bus. He may not make it to the Dream Center in L.A. He said, will you give him a ride? You know, and John Libby had never met me, but this one time he gave me a ride. He didn't know I was going through all this stuff. Yeah. And so he agreed to give me a ride. But then when he was giving me a ride, he ran out of gas, and he was scared to stop the car and get out and get gas because I might take the car. Yeah. You can see that.
It's a conundrum, you know, at this point in your life, sure. Yeah.
And so, but we did. He agreed to give me a ride. Stopped, got gas, stopped, got food. Took me to the Dream Center in L.A. And stayed there for 2 days, watching me, making sure that I stayed there. And Pastor Barnett was a great man. Pastor Mike Connors, pastor of the men's discipleship, women's discipleship program. Everywhere I went, I was a star. So everywhere I went for drugs, I ended up not being a drug addict and an outcast and a misfit. You know, I became J.D. Hill once they found out I was a football player, and they would treat me like a star, and I'd forget I was a drug addict. And this one day, Pastor Barnett, you know, God bless him, and I love him to death. He said, "This is J.D. Hill, and he's there. God's here. He's here to God to change his life, and we're 1,000 people or so. I don't know, the Dream City Church in L.A. He's in the Dream Center." And I fold my chest and put my chest out. After church, Pastor Mike Connors changed my life. Grabbed me. He said, "Come." He said, "I don't ever want to see you up front again. You're not here because you're a superstar. You're here because Jesus Christ has called you and to get your life together. I don't never want to see you up front again." I never went up front again. Changed my life.
Wow.
I stopped being the superstar. Became the man God's called me to be.
Wow.
An overcomer. And so I was going to go into the Ames conference, and in the conference with all the athletes, with Larry Kerchak, who made the call to Dream Center that my wife called him, and they wanted me to. And Larry says, "Hey, come on and be in the parade of athletes, and you know you're a great athlete. You know, come on with the guys." I was like, "Can't do it. I ain't finished the ministry. I ain't finished the program." And to this day, he talks about that I didn't yield to the temptation of being the superstar. No.
Yeah, I mean, because I can imagine. I mean, it's intoxicating, right? Everybody knows who you are. You kind of, before you even enter a room, and you can easily, you know, ride on that.
Yeah.
And
Forget.
Forget. And then, like you're saying, forget you're a drug addict.
Yeah.
Forget all that stuff. But like to actually submit and say, no, there's only one. I am here for a purpose. Like that. That's tough. I commend you for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commend me too.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
But anyway, I decided that I really wanted it. You know, my wife would come and visit me, and there was no relationship. I was there to get my life together, and not to have her as someone that was because I'm here and you're there, and now you're here and I'm gonna do this, and you know, and it wasn't that. This is strictly about getting my life together, so I could be the man that God was calling me to be. And I'm like Paul. I ain't arrived. I'm not all that in a sliced bread and some, and some cheesecake and and a cup of coffee. But I ain't arrived. But one thing I do that I press. I'm like, I keep pressing, man, to the high call, the high mark of Christ Jesus. Because I know that what God can do and what I know what He has done.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for the Lord, I wouldn't be here with you today.
Right.
Sitting here with you today. So we were at the conference, and so I'm in the Dream Center, and all the parade of athletes and all these great athletes, and Mean Joe Green, and then did Barry Sanders, and I'm in all these guys, and they did the parade. So, but I wouldn't go. I said, no, I got to finish the ministry, and I did finish. And when I finished the ministry, I went back to which is now called Dream City Church, and I sat in the same section 2 years. Went through the ministry, sat in the same section, and I caught a vision. Wide receiver, catch, vision. Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, people perish. I caught the vision of wanting to be a person to help people get off drugs, to share my testimony. I didn't want to share a story. I wanted to share a testimony. And then I sat there, and then I went to Pastor Barnett after 2 years. And my wife and I would sit there, who's 2 years. She's passed away now, and I miss her dearly. And I went to Pastor Barnett, and I said, Pastor Barnett, I said, I like to go into ministry, and I want to call it Catch the Vision, and we talked, and he asked me questions and filled me out, and he grabbed me and he held me. God, I've never been held like that. And he prayed over me, and he said, and gave me into the hands of the Lord, blessed me out. Wow, that was good. Because if he wouldn't have done it, I'd have went back and sat in that chair.
Yeah.
I'd have sat there. But he blessed me out, and that's how I started the ministry. Catch the vision.
Yeah.
Catch the vision. That's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy. That's my guy. That's Catch.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So I catch the vision. Wide receiver, catch, vision, catch. And I started my ministry, and started with I did some camps. I did camps. I do camps for kids. I speak at schools. There's one other story I like to share with you. There's a young lady that might end up coming here. She's 34 now. I think she's 34. I was speaking with Sports World Ministry. Dr. Escherman was his name. He would go to all the NFL teams and do Bible studies. And he started a ministry where we would go into schools and we would share our testimony with kids and whatever. And I went to Tennessee on this particular trip. And there was a young girl named Taylor Hazelrig. And she wouldn't mind me sharing this because she's testimonial. And I've just talked with her again. She said, I said, what's your name? She said, my name, Taylor Hazelrig. And I love Jesus. And I said, are you sure? I love hearing you speak. Are you sure? So I'm having fun with her. Well, what ended up happening is some guys kidnapped her after the speech. She was going on the way home or going to the store, and they kidnapped her and wanted to put her in sex trafficking and stuff. And they were going, and she somehow she got a call to me. Her mother got a call to her, and I don't even know where I'm at, but I'm in Tennessee. Do you know we rescued that child?
Really?
She called me 2 weeks ago. Still had my phone number.
Wow.
We're trying to get her out here now. She wants to come visit me and wants to come and see Uncle JD. So, so why do I say that? You never know how God is going, what God has planned for us.
Amen.
You know, like meeting you. I didn't. This wasn't us.
Yeah.
We were talking about something else.
Right.
But
You know, so I've always had this thing, and I don't know always, it's probably not the right word, at least like the last 5-6 years. You know, I've had some pretty crazy health challenges, and before that I've always had this thing where God wants me to be intentional with every person I'm in front of.
Amen.
Right? And nobody else matters but the conversation that you're having, and like, you know, as humans, you have to be intentional. You got to pay attention. You got to listen. You got to ask questions. But like, there's a reason that he has people together. It could be sitting there at a restaurant, you know, at a bar, watching a game, talking to somebody you don't know for the first time. They could need to hear something that you say, or someone to listen. You just never know. So it's like being intentional with people is so important, and always understanding God has a reason to do things. He has a reason to put you somewhere. He has a reason to introduce you to someone. He has a reason, and it's not because of you ever. It's always because of what he wants to do in someone else. And like, that's just the way I view it, and I think everything the Bible talks about is exactly about that when it comes to interaction.
And I truly do hope that this is a hope thing. I can be prayerful. But I'm hoping that someone that's watching this, that's going through something, or have someone in their family or a friend or something that's going through something, to let them know that they can overcome.
Right.
That who he says he is.
Right.
And he can do what he says he can do. I'm a witness.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a pastor who just passed away, but Frank Damasio.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so Frank, he used to come to City of Grace that I was with for 20 years. And he used to come, you know, maybe once every year, once every couple of years for about 5 years. But when I was going through a very, very challenging time, you know, and I won't get into it, business and all kinds of stuff, but he had given a talk called Supernatural Turnarounds. And it's the single most impactful sermon I had ever heard, because you know how you get that sermon and it's exactly what you need when you need it at that time? That was that. Yeah. But the essence of it was, no, God can turn anything around for good.
Yes, he can.
Anything, no matter where you're at. He can turn it around. Not for you, for his glory. And it's an absolute fact. And if people saw back then and they knew all the things, and they saw even me today, right? You know, and it's all glory to him. I didn't do anything, right? He turns it around. So it's pretty amazing. So
But you know, he turns it around for those of us who are willing to turn around.
Oh, that's true. You got to take the action. Sure, that is true. You can't go kicking and screaming all the time.
No.
you gotta take the right actions.
Eventually, you got to do something. We had to do something.
That's right. You got to submit to the will, right?
Yeah.
And doing the right things. Yeah. And that's a very good point. Yeah. But today, your ministry, how can people reach out to you, and how are you helping people today? Because I've caught the vision of what you're doing. And I know we have a golf tournament coming up that you've had for years. It's going to be a lot of fun, but raises money for your ministry. So tell people a little bit about your ministry today, and how they can support, and how they can actually have people reach out to you if they need the help.
Yeah, well, first I'll give my phone number, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. My phone number is 480-560-3496. Once again, 480-560-3496. If you have someone in the family that's hurting, that needs the Lord, that needs prayer, that's on drugs, just having a tough time, need a place to go, I'm at the Phoenix Dream Center at 3210 Northwest Grand Avenue. And men and women, they also have a sex trafficking program at the Dream Center, where we're taking women who have been trafficked to try to help them to get back to their lives, their normality, to let them know how much God loves them. We have a teen ministry as well. So if there's pain, or you know someone that's in pain, that needs the Lord, because we all need the Lord. There's nobody out there that don't need the Lord. Give me a call, and if I can't do it, I'll make sure that I put you in touch with the right person that can. Again, my home phone number, my cell phone number, my if you need help phone number is 480-560-3496.
Love it. Love it. And so the golf tournament, let's talk a little bit about that, how people can come out, support, have a good time.
Man, 15 years ago, my wife caught a vision, man, and you know, I can't play golf. I play pretty good sometimes. And we thought it would be a great opportunity for fundraising. And so we started Catch the Vision, a golf tournament where we facilitate each foursome with a former or current, if available, athlete. A number of the former Cardinals participate, basketball players, you know, Eddie Johnson. So I'm still trying to get Charles Barkley out there, hold up the course, but
hey, he doesn't have the hitch anymore.
And it's all for the ministry to help to keep the ministry afloat. One of the things we do based on the golf tournament is that we're raising funds. That my wife and I had a vision to feed families, and we started with 25 turkeys, 25 5-pound bag of potatoes. We did the Jiffy Mix, the corn and the peas and corn and Jiffy Mix and the dressing. And we did that with 25 families. Now we're up to 400 families. I'm up to 400 families.
Wow.
And my wife and I would go and we'd travel. We would over here, we'd get the church would give us a name, and we'd be all over in the nighttime giving kids, passing turkeys out. We caught the vision. So as it grew, we couldn't do that. And so now what we do, Byron Evans, who is a great linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles and a tremendous man of God, who now is teaching and preaching here in the Valley. We go to his church, and I have all these pastors, 15 to 20 pastors now, come to the church. We pray, we sing praise and worship, and then the pastors and whoever they have will put their number of 30 or 40 turkeys in their truck, a car, and they take them to their church and disperse them. And we've had the Arizona Cardinals come out with the cheerleaders, doing that. And God, it's been a blessing, and that's during Thanksgiving we do that. And so that's coming up here, and so the golf tournament helps to sponsor that. And then that's donations. People give donations as well. Then we have Angel Tree has Linda Booker. We do. I was working with her, and I would go out and give these toys, God, that was really a tough one. Taking the toys to the kids in the inner cities and in these really tough environments, and the gang members would say, "Hey, that's JD. That's the guy every year to come with the toys. Don't bother him." And so he got toys for the kids, So, but then I said, okay, But now I still do that. But now we do it a different way, where we do like we do with the turkeys. We bring the pastors and have the pastors come, and Linda Booker with Angel Tree, just a phenomenal person that has, for years, has been giving to churches and kids and families and hurting families, and God, it's amazing. And so I do that, and so I raise funds, and we get the toys and the people, and bring pastors, and they get the toys and they give to the kids, and and so it's and then of course my main thing, But that ain't no main thing. They all main.
Right, yeah.
They all main. But I want that person to come off them drugs.
Yeah.
You know, get away from the drugs and being an alcoholic and robbing your family, you know, of the joy, and robbing ourselves of the joy. I got a thing here that says, you know, in Proverbs, it's Proverbs 29:18, where there's no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is they. You know, and so that's my ministry. And I had to catch the vision myself. And so that's why I'm so adamant about it. Catch the vision, catch it. You see it, but hold on to it, you know. And then we got Paul Cole, Maximize Your Man, made a comment, a statement, and in his books and stuff, he says, change ain't change until it's change. I don't care what you're talking about. Change is not change until it's changed. So I'm not changed until I change.
Yeah.
I can talk.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good book, by the way. Manhood.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, I read that when I was probably 24, 25, man. Just punch you right in the teeth.
Get you
It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm living wrong, you know.
Because you don't put no punches
No,
in there.
none. Not one.
No, ain't no
I'm
stopping.
like, is there a jab in here, or are they all right hooks, you know?
Yeah, so that's good. So,
Well, man,
yeah.
this was awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking
Yeah.
the time. You have an amazing ministry, an incredible testimony. For those of you that are watching, share this out with a friend. Share this out, and honestly, reach out to JD if you have someone that is, in need of that help. In fact, one of my advisors, we were just sitting there yesterday. I don't know if she's reached out to you yet, but she was telling me about. I was telling her about you, and she had a young man that's the son of one of her good friends that's going through some alcohol and some issues or whatever. And I literally sent her your number. So
please.
I'll be a little bit later.
I'll be paying attention.
And
I'll follow up too.
And that's really what it's all about, right? So you're a resource to help folks, and you've got reach. But if you're interested in playing in the golf tournament, like we're happy to be a sponsor and to be a part of it. Please, reach out, get a foursome, come out, good time. There'll be some celebrities there. It'll be some bad golf.
It'll be about 26 of them.
Yeah, and you know what? Scrambles are fun. I would rather play scrambles than normal golf all day long.
Oh man,
way more fun.
And then one of our sponsors is Mr. Solheim from Ping Golf.
Oh wow!
Is one of our. We have golf bags that we're gonna be giving away. Last year I gave everybody brand new. Picture this. Everybody, 130, 40 people got brand new golf shoes.
Wow.
Wow. That's part of the gift,
That's amazing.
Someone called me up and said, hey, listen, we're getting ready to go out of business, and would you like these shoes? Would I?
Yeah. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
That's right. And then we'll have a link below for that as well.
Yeah.
And that's going to be September 26th,
Yes.
right? It's on a Friday.
At Dobson Ranch Golf
Dobson Ranch,
Course.
yep.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a talker too, I want to just thank you, man. You people that are watching this don't know our history, and the way we came together and the way we're together now was just totally God ordained, because the way it started out is not the way it's finishing it.
Right.
And we ain't even at the finish line yet. This thing is real good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hey, we met for a reason.
Yes,
so,
sir.
And
yes, sir.
We appreciate the people that put us together, and we'll do some cool things together.
Yeah, because regardless how it came, it came.
Yep.
And there's a place for them too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I know you guys got a lot out of this. Share it out. Come play some golf with us. Support the ministry, and then reach out if you need anything. And we appreciate y'all.
And don't forget the Phoenix Dream Center. The Phoenix
right.
Dream Center. We have that human sex trafficking program. We have the youth program. We have the discipleship program. Men and women coming off of drugs and having a tough time in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Under Pastor Tommy Barnett. And yeah.
And if you don't know who Tommy Barnett is,
Brian Steele is the director.
Yeah,
Brian.
but look up Tommy Barnett. That man has done a lot on his time on earth. How old is he now? 83?
Oh, they got a thing now that they're getting ready to do a pre-game at a football game. They're going to have a ministry before the game, one of the games. I don't know which game it is, but it's going to be praise and worship, and everything
That's
before the
awesome.
game. Yeah.
You know what's wild?
Never been done.
Is I've never met him, right? My business partner, who's like, you know, one of the closest people in my life,
And Brendan Zastro.
is like, that's his pastor, and you know, you're close to him, but I mean, he's the pastor's pastor too. You know, from what I understand, the Joyce Myers of the world and stuff, they come to him. So, but this was awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward to having you guys back. But share this out. Reach out to JD. We'll see you next time.
480-560-3496.